Our three officials today: Bob Harold out of Southern California, Frank Buckowitz, who lives up here in Washington, and Tom Harrington. In their earlier meeting this year down at Eugene, Washington beat Oregon 58-46. It was Oregon's coldest shooting game of the year. They only had 33%, and they didn't have John Murray. He was out that day with the flu.
Yeah, Jim Haney said before the game that his team has played well on the road, probably because they have shot well. They'll have to shoot well this afternoon.
Richard Wright of Oregon kicked it out of bounds, and it'll belong to the Washington Huskies. Washington comes in 15-7 overall, 6-7 in conference play. Oregon 4-10 in the league and 9-14. But Oregon's played very well the last month.
They have, and on the road, they have won 3 out of 7 conference games. That's always good, of course.
Stan Walker, Washington's leading scorer, has his pass deflected. It goes to Felton Seeley. Seeley and Richard Wright out front. The big man, Ron Burns, off the high post. It goes now to Ray White, and he brings it to Jerome Williams.
Washington opens up in a man-to-man defense. They'll play both man-to-man and zone. Oregon will be exclusively man-to-man.
Jerome Williams, who had 16 points over at Washington State on Thursday night, has his first 2. So Oregon scores first. James Woods to Bob Frank. Lorenzo Romar back to Woods. Williams rebounds. These clubs have split their last 10 games. Washington has beaten Oregon the past 2 years here at Edmondson Pavilion in Seattle.
Ooh.
Burns, who's from nearby Tacoma, took quite a fall. Oregon will keep the ball. Burns was heavily recruited by Marv Harshman, but Marv says that Burns' father made it clear that he didn't want to see Ron playing behind Peter Goodmanson for a couple of years.
And now, of course, Goodmanson, who played so well last year, isn't even in the starting lineup for the Washington Huskies. But Burns will have an outstanding career, I believe, at Oregon.
Two nothing. Oregon leads. We're a minute and a half deep. Bob Frank with a baseline drive, no foul. Comes to Richard Wright. He feeds Jerome Williams, and Williams has all 4 points.
Oregon will take the fast break opportunity if it comes. They did there. And Williams is just having one of those seasons where as the season goes along, he just seems to gain more in confidence and just plays better and better. He's going to have a strong finish.
Woods tries to get Washington on the board. 2 air balls in a row for Woody.
Yeah, he's 0 for 2 and just drawing iron.
Richard Wright, a transfer from Old Dominion, to the 7-footer Ron Burns. Rebounded by Stan Walker. This is Dan Caldwell with it. Traveling violation.
It was traveling. Washington likes to come down and get that good little jump shot from about 15 to 18 feet, and they probably could have had one then, but Caldwell didn't end up taking it.
Here comes Peter Goodmanson into the game. We just talked about him, a 7'2" junior, 245-pounder out of Iceland. And Goodmanson had one of his greatest games, Lynn, against Oregon last year, 28 points and 13 rebounds.
Well, in the last 11 games last year, he averaged 17 points a game and 7 rebounds, so he can play and play well. He just needs to get a little more intensity out there, according to Coach Marv Harshman.
4-0, Oregon, 2.5 minutes deep. Felton Seeley to Jerome Williams. He goes for his 6th point, doesn't get it. And it's rebounded by Stan Walker.
That was a hard shot that Williams tried. Maybe if he was going to the basket, he could have banked it, had a better chance of making it.
Caldwell traveled. Dan had thoughts of putting it up and then changed his mind, and that cost him.
Yeah, he's unhappy with that call, but it did look to me like he juggled his feet there a bit.
There are 3 7-footers in the Pac-10 this year, and 2 of them are now on the court, Ron Burns and Peter Goodmanson. The other, of course, is Alton Lister of Arizona State.
And it goes into one of the 7-footers, Burns. You would figure playing in the Seattle area here for the first time in his college career, and being from Seattle, he'll really want to have a good afternoon.
Ray Whiting into Burns. Goodmanson 2 inches taller. And an errant pass by Washington. Here comes Romar, 3-on-2. Bob Frank And it took Washington 3 minutes and 16 seconds to get on the board, and yet the Huskies trail only 4-2.
Yeah, that's the kind of shot we talked about Washington liking to take when they come down on the fast break. Frank will take it. Stan Walker will also take it.
And we've got a foul called on the Washington Huskies. It'll go on Peter Goodmanson.
I'm sure that Marv Harshman is really not unhappy to see him draw that foul. He says he needs to improve on defense and he needs to play a little more aggressively out there. At least he was trying something.
Oh, Jerome Williams.
Good.
Sensational dunk.
Yeah, great pass time over the head of Goodmanson, who wasn't even watching, and Williams timed it beautifully.
Jerome Williams, a 6'8" sophomore out of Pasadena. He has all 6 of the Ducks' points. Jerome had 22 against USC and 22 against Idaho for his single game highs this year. 6-2, Oregon leads it. Goodmanson had tipped away from Seeley. It goes to Wright, and he's going to try to give Oregon an 8-2 lead, and does. So the scrappy Oregon Ducks have bolted to an 8-2 lead, and Marv Harshman says, wait a minute, I've seen enough. I want to talk to my boys. 15:56 to go, first half in Seattle, and it's Oregon up by half a dozen.
Everything looks so good, I can't decide.
Well, before you do, take a look at the homeowner's insurance bill we just got.
Oh, that's steep, huh?
Before you pay, compare it with Allstate.
Allstate?
Sure, it's easy. You'll find Allstate agents at over 700 neighborhood offices, as well as at Sears. So come in and compare.
We've got a better deal.
Hey.
Now can we have lunch?
Well, now we can have anything we want, except that.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
Can your secretary go through your files this fast? Can your secretary type your letters this fast? Or send your mail this fast? Now your secretary can with the IBM Office System 6. It's that fast.
Gee, Ollie, this windshield's so messy, I can't see.
Let's watch it.
We need new wiper blades.
I know that. Make sure your windshield wipers work when you need them. A new set of Anco wiper blades every year is a quick and inexpensive way to see your way clear.
Ollie, without new Anco wipers, we could have been hit by that piano. Piano? Oh!
It's not often this late in the year that you'll see a club with 3 times as many league victories on the road as at home, but that's the case with Oregon. They won at Arizona, which you saw here on TBS and NBC earlier in the year, and against USC in Los Angeles and Stanford at Palo Alto, and they've opened up a lead today, although Washington comes back and that one will count. Bob Frank in for his 3rd and 4th points.
Good little shot by Frank. Probably had he waited, come down, and maybe even taken a dribble and then gone back up, it would have had the shot blocked. But he didn't waste any time in getting the ball in the basket, so there's no defensive player that could have come over to help out.
Foul committed by Felton Seeley, and Bob Frank going to the line. Frank, an 80% free throw shooter, having an excellent year. And so it is Oregon 8, Bob Frank 5.
Yeah, Williams actually is leading Frank 6-5.
And Williams is really belted at the other end by Peter Goodmanson for his 2nd foul.
Although Goodmanson did play high school ball at Mercer Island here in the Seattle area. Wow, he didn't want that another dunk, did he? I don't blame him. He is from Iceland, so his basketball experience is somewhat limited. He's a junior here at Washington.
Steve Johnson of Oregon State, of course, also leads not only the Pac-10, but the nation in field goal percentage, better than 72%, and Frank right behind him in the league with 64%. Williams fails on his first free throw effort. Jerome only a 67% free throw shooter. Missed them both. That's been one of the Oregon problems, Lynn. They're not a very good free throw shooting team.
Oh, that'll hurt you, of course, especially in the late stages. There's another example of that jump shot coming down and quickly taking it out there from the corner or the wing. Walker that time did it.
Stan Walker, Washington's leading scorer, averaging almost 12 points a game, has his first 2, and it is 8-7 as the Huskies have strung together 5 straight points after falling down 8-2. Felton Seeley with a fake around Frank. Good move by Seeley.
Right-hander dribbling to his left and even shooting with his left hand. Very impressive.
5 minutes gone in Seattle. Goodmanson to Walker, out to Lorenzo Romar. Goodmanson got behind Burns and got the bounce.
They would love to have a big day offensively out of Peter Goodmanson, and he's certainly capable. Looks like Washington, after that timeout, where it was told by Marv Harshman, really, they haven't been playing very hard. You're seeing them with a little more intensity out there on defense. They're not afraid to put up the shot on offense either in a hurry.
Seeley again, and Frank fouled him. First foul on Frank, third team foul on the Huskies.
And the basket apparently is not going to count, which means that it won't be a shooting foul.
Marv Harshman thought that Seeley pushed off with that left elbow.
Well, you could have called it that way, but the defensive man certainly was rubbing against the body there of Seeley also.
Right's out of bounds. And Goodmanson got hit in the neck, it looks like. Marv Harshman, 35 years as a head coach in college basketball.
He stays everywhere a long time. 13 years Pacific Lutheran, 13 at Washington State. He's in his 9th year here at Washington.
Speaking of Washington State, he has dealt George Raveling's ball club a crippling loss over at Pullman a couple of weeks ago. They were down by 11 with 9 minutes to go, and the Huskies came back to win it by 1. In fact, they won last year in Pullman.
Yeah, that is true. So Washington State now in 3rd place with a 10-3 record. But of course, they would like to change that tonight when they take on the Beavers there.
Ron Burns picks up his first foul for Washington. It's the Huskies' second. Common foul.
I think what Marv has inserted Peter Goodmanson in the game so quickly is he feels that Ron Burns, being a freshman center, might have some problems dealing with Goodmanson if he can get the offense going. Maybe if he can make that one.
Goodmanson falls down, but he's got a deuce.
Yeah, both of his baskets have gone in the same way. Not clean swishes, but he has a nice shooting touch.
Washington, for the first time this afternoon, leads Oregon. It's 11-10. 13:50 to go in the first half. Ray Whiting trying to get it back to Burns, and it's stolen by Bob Frank.
Oregon that time defensed Frank pretty well. He wanted to take that little jump shot from the corner.
Andre Griffin's in the game for Washington for the first time. He sets a pick. Frank fires over it. Goodmanson saves it to Stan Walker. Good pass to Frank. Missed the shot, and a foul on Griffin over the back.
So far, Frank for Washington has moved better without the ball than anyone on his team. He really has gotten himself open. And teammates will start looking for you if you keep moving out there without the ball.
Washington 11, Oregon 10. Washington had a good shooting night down at Mac Court when they beat the Ducks in Eugene. They hit 52%. And it's probably the worst offensive night Oregon's had all year. Wright misses and rebounded by Walker. Stan's got a lot of rebounds early, Lynn.
He has, especially since Oregon started to miss here after shooting well at the start of the game.
Romar misses, and Seeley claims it for the Ducks. Richard Wright out of Philadelphia. Across the 10-second line, back to Seeley. The young man from Massachusetts brings it out front to Williams. Williams was fouled by Andre Griffin. Here comes Don Vaughn, number 15, into the Washington lineup for the first time. Vaughn, a 6-foot junior out of Pasco, Washington.
This is the last foul that was committed there on Washington. Another example of reaching in. Sometimes if you're a defensive player and you can keep in mind to keep your elbows close to your body, you really won't get called for reaching in.
1 point lead for Washington. Oregon led early 8-2.
Well, they cooled off, Ross. They made 4 of their first 6 shots, and they've only made 1 of their last 4. Actually,
John Gregg's in the game for the first time for Oregon, number 23, running the baseline. It comes to Williams on the high post. Out to Seeley, 26-footer off the rim. Burns rebounds. Try to get it to Gregg, and Walker kicked it out of bounds.
Burns showed why 7-footers should really not make bounce passes. It just takes too long for the ball to get down to the floor, and everyone knows it's a bounce pass. It's hard to throw.
Burns went for a hook, and then Sider Williams threw it out of bounds. Stan Walker on the wing outside to Bob Frank.
As we said, Oregon will exclusively play man-to-man defense. That's what they're in.
Griffin out of Minneapolis with that flat shot of his misses. Gregg's got it to Seeley. Richard Wright bangs into Vaughn. Player control foul.
It's an offensive foul was the call. The player set, really had pretty good defensive position.
Timeout, 11:46 to go, first half. Washington 11, Oregon 10.
Weekends were made for Michelob. Weekends were made for you and me.
What better way to make your own weekend a little more special than the smooth and mellow taste of Michelob?
This is just perfect. The Michelob.
Weekends were made for Michelob.
This bar of solid gold is worth about $160,000, but it would take a wall of real gold bars this big, $600 million, to match what Ford put into pickups and Broncos, the first new trucks of the 80s. Pickups aerodynamically designed to achieve the best gas mileage rating of any American-built standard pickup. More payload than last year based on comparable truck weights. Tough Fords out front again for the 80s.
Built Ford tough. Ford, the official trucks of the 1980 Winter Olympics.
There's a great day on NBC tomorrow as the number 5 ranked Kentucky Wildcats face the Runnin' Rebels of Nevada, Las Vegas. Then on NBC Sports World, see Women's World Cup surfing, plus full contact karate, followed by dramatic coverage of the Joe Garagiola Tucson Open, which has been delayed by rain the last couple of days. That'll start at 10 in the morning Pacific time, 11 Mountain on NBC.
Jerry Tarkanian's University of Nevada Las Vegas team, again eligible for postseason play. Most certainly they'll be in the NCAA tournament this year. They got a fine little team.
And a fine young team.
Yeah, a lot of young players. Of course, Kentucky, they'll be there also. Kyle Macy's having a great year for them.
Peter Goodmanson banks in his 5th and 6 points. And Washington's had a good run, Lynn, 11-2.
Well, it looks like Marv Harshman made a brilliant move by putting Goodmanson into the game. He's got the little jump shot going this afternoon. Even though he's guarded by a 7-footer, you can't stop it. He's 7'2", and he shoots it high.
He likes the looks of those Oregon uniforms. He lights up when he sees it.
Yeah.
Burns misses at the other end, and Goodmanson with authority.
Yeah, he's showing some aggressiveness. There's an excellent pass by Frank.
Griffin for a slam dunk. That's 8 straight points, and Washington is ahead by 5, and now Jim Haney's the man who wants the timeout and gets it. 10:51 to go, first half, and the host Huskies are in control.
Hey, we sold out of Gillette Track too. Deliveries coming any second. But why should a busy man like you have to wait when this razor will do it?
Gillette Track 2 shaves me closer and smoother than that. Oh, well.
Life is too short to wait. These will fit your Track 2 handle.
I know what I'm getting with my blades, but those, I'll wait for Gillette Track 2.
To guys who use Gillette Track 2, no other blade will do.
Track 2?
Right Guard knows that in equally active situations, men and women don't perspire equally. Men perspire more. That's why men count on Right Guard. Right Guard is so strong, so effective, it helps stop a man's perspiration odor all day long. Yes, men and women don't perspire equally. And that's why men count on Right Guard. Strong, effective Right Guard. Because men perspire more.
Sunday, orphans with magical powers flee evil billionaire. Escape to Witch Mountain, the Disney box office hit, starring Kim Richards, a 2-hour TV first.
2 of the outstanding freshman centers in America will be pitted tomorrow against each other when Kentucky faces Nevada, Las Vegas. Sam Bowie, the 7-footer of Kentucky, against 6'11" Sidney Green of Las Vegas. 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific, 11 Mountain on NBC. 2 members of the top 10 have been knocked off this afternoon. We'll have the college basketball scoreboard for you on the IBM College Report at halftime today from Seattle. John Murray in the game for the first time for Oregon, number 31. And as he passed inside, there was a foul called on the Huskies.
Marv Harshman trying to help out.
Steve Mattson, who just entered the lineup, number 10, picks up the foul. So 16 fouls on Washington, only 3 on Oregon. And Matson got the ball for the Huskies. A year ago, the Huskies were 11-16. They come in today 15-7, so quite a turnaround. But as Len pointed out, they were 9-0 against non-conference opponents.
Yeah, last year was the first losing season that Marv Harshman has had here at the University of Washington. He's got everyone back on this year's club.
Traveling on Don Vaughn before he collided with John Murray. Washington scored a seasonal low, 58 points in that game down at Mac Court, but they won it. And today they're leading 15-10, low scoring first 10 minutes. Mike Clark, the leading scorer of Oregon's in there. Player control foul will be called. Let's see if they allow the basket. Frank Bukowicz calls the foul.
It's unfortunate because this is obviously what Jim Haney wants to do. He wants to put Mike Clark in there. He's got a little bit more agility. He doesn't think that he can stay with Gudmundsson. He made a fine little move there, a good little fake, and it looked like he had himself a basket, but no, the referee says the foul is on Clark.
Matson with the ball now was a guard last year. This year, Marv's using him as a forward. There's another turnover, this time on Washington.
Some would say the pass was thrown a little bit hard, but I would say that Gudmundsson probably should have had it. Sometimes he's going to receive hard passes in there at the deep post.
John Gregg to Jerome Williams to Felton Seeley. Down low to John Gregg. He banks and misses. Tip try won't come. Goes to Williams out to Seeley. Oregon has been stuck on 10 for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
they led 10-7. Now they're down 15-10. Felton Seeley breaks that drought with his third and fourth points.
Seeley shows that he can shoot from the outside. Oregon, obviously, because they've won some games on the road, they have some poise, so they won't panic the fact that they've fallen behind here in the early going.
Traveling violation on the Huskies. So now the Ducks have a chance to climb within one. Edmondson Pavilion in its 52nd year of operation.
Yeah, I don't feel old when I say that I played basketball here, Ross. It's a fine little building.
Mike Clark out to John Gregg.
Turnover department so far pretty even. Oregon, of course, would like to keep their turnovers to a minimum. I don't think they really want a running full court game. Washington would.
Williams misses. Gudmundsson had it tipped away but gets it back. Griffin gives it to Don Vaughn and he'll set it up. Vaughn scored 17 against Oregon last year down at Eugene. 9 for 9 at the foul line. He's got a 22-footer in and out. Gregg rebound. 15-12 Washington. 8.5 minutes to go first half. Ross Porter and Lynn Shackelford. Mike Clark misses. Clark gets it back. There's a whistle and a traveling call by Tom Harrington underneath.
Tough break once again there for Mike Clark after an excellent pass and fast break chance by Oregon.
Number 24, Steve Burks, a 6'3.5" sophomore from Kansas City who's coming in. Burks, Thursday night here against Oregon State, played the last 4 minutes and got 10 shots up before the game was over.
As Marv Harshman, I said to him before the game, he really makes things happen. He says he sure does.
Steve Matson misses it. Williams out hustles Griffin and throws it away to Gudmundsson. Don Vaughn partially blocked by Seeley, and a foul has been called on the Ducks. Bob Harrell makes the call this time. Felton Seeley with his second foul.
Play got a little bit wild there. Gudmundsson just threw the ball off. And then, of course, things really got hairy as everybody started going after everyone else, and it just got a little bit carried away there. And no one really had control. Well, it seems like, Ross, we've seen an excessive amount of substitutions here in the early going.
Right.
Sometimes it's really hard for the players to really get a feel for the game and what they're doing out there when there's so many guys going in and out.
Don Vaughn, the fourth best free throw shooter in the conference with 80%, makes 1 of 2. Huskies keep it alive, and Griffin stuffs it in. 18-12 Washington.
They would like to get the ball into Clark and have him work on Gudmundsson. But they'd like to have him get it a little bit deeper, like there. Couldn't get it in.
Now we've got a foul in backcourt on John Murray of the Ducks. That's his first, and it's the team's 6th. So both clubs will be in the bonus the rest of the half, and we've got 7:32 to go. If you joined us a bit late, Oregon led early 8-2 and then later 10-7, but then this man, Marv Harshman, called a timeout. And so his Huskies come back, and they've now outscored Oregon 16-4.
Wow.
In the last 8 minutes. Vaughn.
Well, now they've been outscored 18-4. And when you can say that you've been outscored 18-4 on the road and you're still behind by only 8 points, you got to be fairly happy.
Murray driving in and was fouled before he got there by Steve Burks. Free throw time.
Murray was making that drive, trying to make the pass. He realized he couldn't make the pass, and then he ended up putting up the shot, or at least that's what the referee gave him credit for, because he's going to the line for a couple.
John Murray out of Oceanside, New York, a 6'1 senior, 72% free throw shooter. (20-13) Washington. Comes a bonus for Murray. Ray Whiting coming back in for Oregon, and he will spell Jerome Williams. One of the problems when Oregon had the cold shooting game against Washington down at Eugene was the fact that the Duck guards were absolutely ice cold. They hit 3 out of 22 that night.
Well, that allows you, when you're the other team like Washington, to concentrate defensively on some other players.
Griffin to Goodmanson, and Clark takes it away from him, and Goodmanson hit again. Peters in agony. Felton Seeley at the other end of the court has it stolen by Goodmanson. So he wasn't in too much pain. Burks. No basket. Murray in the lane holding his head like he was going to surrender.
Yeah, I think Murray may have acted it out a little bit when he fell back, trying to draw an offensive foul after the pass was made. Got a lot of Oregon fans here right behind the Oregon bench, and they weren't too happy with it.
Murray picks up his second foul, and Don Vaughn going back to the line.
So this will be an important stretch of the game in free throw shooting. Anytime you're in the bonus, the guys that can make the 1-and-1, that hurts right there.
There's an 80% foul shooter, missing 2 out of 3. Remember when he was a freshman, Lynn, he led the league with about 90%.
89 and a fraction. Yeah, he ran it off at 90%. Last year he really dropped off, showing that free throw shooting is really just confidence.
And concentration.
And concentration. Technique can't change that much in the course of a season.
Low scoring first half in Seattle. Washington 20, Oregon 14. 6:15 to go before the buzzer. Clark looking for help. And a holding foul will be called. Steve Burks, whose father used to play with the Harlem Globetrotters and the Harlem Magicians, picks up his second.
So here's an example for Oregon. Since Washington missed the front end of 1-on-1, Clark could come down and make a couple free throws and put his team right back into it, essentially, at the free throw line.
Clark, not a good free throw shooter, 52% on the year. Oregon hitting 40% at the foul line in the first half.
Wow, unbelievable. Of course, on the season, they're not a whole lot better. He's making 2/3 of their free throws, 67%. Goodmanson decides that he needs to towel off to be able to hold on to the ball better.
Murray. Strong, but it went in.
Yeah, you'll take it. When you run down the court, you act like you were trying to make it that way. No problem.
A 4-point lead for Washington. The Huskies trying to snap a 2-game losing streak today and pick up their 16th victory and stay in the running for an NIT bid. Griffin out to Burks, to Vaughn. Goodmanson was fouled. Was it Seeley from the front or Clark from the back?
Because they've been going into Goodmanson so much offensively, they haven't. Walker hasn't had too many opportunities to score. He's only got 2 points. That time, of course, he wasn't open for the shot, so he tried to go into Goodmanson. Goodmanson makes his moves quickly, but sometimes I think when he turns, he's not aware of where the defensive players are, and he turns into them.
The foul was on Mike Clark, his second. No one in the ballgame has as many as 3 personals. Goodmanson to the line, 56% free throw shooter. Peter having a good first half. He's got 7 points to lead both teams. What is the average on the year?
6.2.
6.2.
He had some impressive games towards the end of last year. He had one 37-point outing against Cal.
Murray double team, gets it ahead to Clark. Tipped by Walker and stolen by the Huskies.
Yeah, that was a good defensive play by Walker, blocking that pass.
6-point lead for Washington. A little over 5 minutes to go in the first half, and a traveling call on Don Vaughn. Here comes Ron Burns back into the Oregon lineup. Marv Harshman looking today for his 545th college win. 545.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before the game. Doesn't it? Yeah, he's not going to be surprised by anything out there. He knows his players, and he's always thinking about his players, why he wants them in the game, how they're feeling that day. You just gain that through experience.
And a foul on Peter Gudmundsson. Spins his head in disbelief. He just picked up number 3.
Well, this is what they want, Oregon. This is why they've been trying to go into the middle so often here in the first half. They want Gudmundsson to get those fouls, get him out of there. They just soon not have the big guy in there.
Dan Caldwell, who started the ball game at forward for Washington, will come in, and now James Woods will be right behind him.
Number 45, James Woods now left for Washington at 7.
So Vaughn comes out, Gudmundsson comes out, and John Gregg, a 6'7" sophomore who is from the state of Washington, out of Olympia, goes to the line. Gregg's a 73% free throw shooter. The Ducks now have hit 3 out of 6 at the line today. Not a good half, Oregon, offensively since the start, and yet they're down just 22-18.
Yeah, they've been juggling their lineup for them to play well on the road, and they have in the past. They've shot well. I don't think they've shot really well here in the first half, but they're in it.
Caldwell misses, gets the miss, puts it up, doesn't go that time either. Whiting with the rebound off the Seeley. Felton feeding inside to Gregg, who saves it along the baseline, out to Burns. Ron turns down a 16-footer, is stripped of the ball, and here goes Lorenzo Romar for Washington.
And he almost missed it. I agree with most coaches that when you're shooting a layup, you ought to go to the side and use that backboard when you can.
So Romar, who was the Huskies' most inspirational player last year, has his first 2 today. The freshman out of Long Beach, Ray Whiting, rolls it in. Whiting with his first 2. 24-20 Washington, 4:15 before halftime. Walker, who has only 2 points today, gives it over to Woods. Romar, switch. Another 6-point lead for Washington. The other 2 times this year that Washington had a 2-game losing string, they came back very impressively in the 3rd game, and they're ahead today by 6. Murray missed it. Now Woods takes it to the other end, gives it to Caldwell, and they travel.
Is that the 3rd time
Caldwell's having a rough first half, isn't he?
I'll say one thing about the referees today. They are calling traveling very quickly, very close.
Timeout. Washington leads by 6, and we'll be back to Seattle in a moment.
Our new house is costing plenty, so Ted's painting it himself to save money.
Watch it.
Oh, well, we gotta save every way we can.
You can save 15% on Allstate homeowners insurance.
15%?
It's Allstate's biggest new house discount ever.
Your house is brand new, so you'll save 15% the very first year. Boy, that'll buy a lot of paint.
Maybe some paint remover, too.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
This Bud's for everyone who helps put food on the table.
This Bud's for you.
What time next week? Get up there, Joe.
The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
On Sports World, black belts battle it out in bone-jarring full-contact karate. Plus, top pros challenge Oahu's pounding serve in the Women's World Cup Sunday.
Next Saturday afternoon, we'll be in Los Angeles at the Sports Arena. Washington State takes on USC at 3:30. Washington State right now 3rd in the conference, 10-3. And they'll go against a USC team which lost its leading scorer and rebounder Purvis Miller for the season because of ligament damage to a knee that necessitated surgery. So we pass along our best wishes to Purvis Miller. Look forward to seeing him come back next year. He's a good ball player.
He's an excellent player. I'll tell you, they counted on him for more than just points and rebounds at USC. He was their leader in a lot of ways.
26-20 Washington. The final 3.5 minutes at Heck Edmondson Pavilion in Seattle. Richard Wright back into the lineup for Oregon, over to Whiting to Murray. Murray and Frank, and Murray travel.
Yeah, I think I've seen more traveling calls in this half of any game than I've seen all year long. Maybe the players are traveling, but they seem to be calling them closely.
Speaking of Washington State, the Cougars have a big game tonight in Pullman against Oregon State.
You think it'll be loud there?
Oh, just a little. USC is at Arizona State tonight, UCLA at Arizona, and Stanford at Cal. Woods throws it away. Wright not only saves it, he got a chance for a two-pointer. And he behind the backs it to Ron Burns, and he banks it in.
Oh, that was a brilliant pass by Wright that time. Burns kind of fumbled and had to take the dribble, and that took a little of the glitter off the play, but it was great.
I think Wright thought it would have been blocked if he tried it himself, so he gave it up unselfishly.
And he wasn't trying to be flashy. That was the right kind of pass to make in that situation.
Speaking of flashy passes, there was one from Frank. Oregon can cut it to 2 with a basket here. 26-22, John Gregg. Whiting brings it back out.
Oregon's the kind of team that as soon as you miss a few shots or you let up a little, they'll come right back at you. There they come.
Yep. Makes it 26-24. Burns with 4.
It's kind of a close-knit group under young coach Jim Haney. He seems to be close with his players. They only have 10 players on the team, and they all seem to stick with one another out there. I think that's why they do well on the road.
Player control foul is going to be called on Washington, I think. Yes, Frank picks it up. Frank's second foul. Harshman doesn't understand the call. So Ron Burns will go to the other end, and it'll be free throw time for him. Ron, 73% free throw shooter, and he can tie it up if he hits them both here. Has to make the first to earn the second. 5 straight points for Oregon. And Burns can get the Webfoots even. 26 all. Oregon's last lead was 8-7.
And Oregon is also doing a good job of getting back on defense. They're taking away those quick shots that Washington had there for a little stretch.
Andre Griffin. And a foul underneath. John Gregg detected for holding.
I think another thing that has hurt Washington was when Goodmanson picked up his third personal and had to leave. Even though he wasn't really clever out there, his mere presence and size, I think, had a big impact on the game.
James Woods goes to the foul line. He is not a good free throw shooter. The last 3 years at Washington, he's been 46%, 49%, 44%. He's using the glass now.
Now wait a minute. Now he's shaking his head. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Now what's he going to do on this one?
Well, he says if everything else fails, I might as well try something new.
Whoa, now that's pretty hard to do. You bank the first one, you make the second one straight in. I'm impressed.
28-26 Washington, 1:55 to go in the first half, and a foul at midcourt on the Huskies on Lorenzo Romar.
Fouls on Lorenzo Romar, his first.
Pretty obvious play there on the last one, easy one to call. And of course Burns, not a bad free throw shooter. You're sending a pretty good one to the line.
Burns just made 2 a moment ago to tie the game. Has the same opportunity again. And he now has 7 points in the first half. He's led the Oregon scoring. Peter Goodmanson with 8 leading the Washington scoring. So good first half scoring-wise for the 7-footers.
Yeah, both teams seem to be looking to their big men an awful lot. Washington will take the shot if they can get it, but once again, Oregon gets back quickly on defense.
28-28 with 1:45 to go in the first half. Griffin falls down, but keeps it in his team's possession. Frank will back out. Frank and Walker exchanging passes, former high school teammates.
Walker's about due to put one up. Only 2 points here in the first half.
Woods over the rim, but not down. Gregg goes up with Griffin. Jump ball. Brock and Walker went to high school together at Sunset in Beaverton, Oregon, outside of Portland. Walker's not had that much of a shot selection today either, Lynn.
No, I think part of it has to be given credit to the Oregon defense. They really have taken the outside shot away. Now, he likes to shoot from the outside, and if you take it away from him, he's not likely to drive.
Lane violation on Oregon.
Violation of the jump circle by Oregon. Watching ball out of bounds.
1:24 to go now in the half. Oregon led early by 6. Washington led once by 8. And now they're dead even at Woods gives the lead back to the Huskies.
Yeah, good move. Of course, there's a big difference when Woods is in there at center. He has a lot more agility, the ability to put the ball on the floor and go around the defensive player.
John Gregg. Woods is 6'8", sails high to get the rebound. Here's Griffin taking the pass and dunking it. Good pass from Romar.
Yeah, that is good. Romar looks for Griffin. He's excellent at getting down the court quickly, and one of the few times here in the first half that Oregon has been a little bit slow getting back on defense.
45 seconds to play, 32-28, Washington. Murray around Franck.
Oh, beautiful drive. Yeah, easy play to call there. A little change of speed by Murray. Excellent play. Excellent. That is a very hard thing to coach, that change of speed, and he just caught the defensive man a little bit off balance with it.
Walker, who scored in double figures 16 of his last 18 games, gets it inside to Woods. James misses. Whiting rebounds. I'm not sure Harshman wanted him to shoot that early, about 13 seconds before halftime. It's going to wind up in a foul on Washington, on Romar, and now Oregon's got a chance to be even at halftime.
Yeah, that could be a costly one, and Marv Harshman is telling Woods that now, and he'll probably tell him that again in the locker room at halftime.
So Ray Whiting going to the foul line for the first time this afternoon. Whiting, 62% free throw shooter this year. Loose ball comes to Gregg. He feeds to Burns. 5 seconds before the buzzer. Shot no good. Gregg bangs into Griffin. And we've got a foul underneath with 2 seconds to go. So John Gregg gets his second foul. We go the other way, and Washington can add a couple of points before the halftime horn.
Yeah, Jim Haney, he coaches his players to play hard out there, and Gregg really got caught kind of hitting the boards a little too hard.
Washington has already hit more free throws this afternoon in the first half than they did the whole game down at Eugene. That night they made 4 free throws out of 11.
And they still won the game.
And still won by a dozen. Griffin going to the line for the first time today. Andre's got 7. Harshman's got more points out of his bench than Haney. That's been the difference in the first half.
And yet both teams have used their bench extensively.
34-30. Still 2 seconds to go.
Now there's a costly play. Gregg tried to throw a full-length court of the pass, but instead of getting away, well, they're going to get it again, apparently. He hit the back of the backboard. I would think that'd be part of the court.
I think so. Stolen by Walker. Walker from 38, and he's off target. That's the end of the first half in Seattle. Washington 34, Oregon 30. We'll be back with the halftime activities and look at the college basketball scoreboard in a moment.
This Mustang Turbo performs like that $15,000 Porsche. Really, Jackie? Let's take a little ride. Come on, young man.
Dramatizing independent tests, Jackie Stewart and Rick Mears show how Mustang Turbo with TRX tires matched Porsche 924. Matched it in acceleration, in cornering, in steering response, in braking. Matched it in 25 of 29 test categories. Ford Mustang, a sports car for the 80s.
Ford, the official cars of the 1980 Winter Olympics.
Hey, here's a guy who's turning coal into gas. Wow. It's coal gasification, Bob. And Texaco's developed a special process to do it. With the crude oil saved, we'll be able to make more heating oil and gasoline.
What's first?
Right now, Texaco is working with other companies on an even larger demonstration plant. Eventually, clean-burning gas from coal will be used to produce power that could help light up cities like Los Angeles.
Texaco, we're working to keep your trust.
What's so great about the IBM Series 3 copier? Easy. At the touch of a button, it can make a same-size copy or a reduced-size copy. It can copy on one side of your paper or two. If you want lots of copies, it's fast. And the quality of the IBM Series 3 copier is so good, it's hard to tell the copy from the original. Say goodnight, George. Good night, George.
It's halftime here at Edmondson Pavilion in Seattle on the University of Washington campus, with the Washington Huskies leading 34-30. The University of Washington was founded in November of 1861, making it the oldest state-supported institution of higher education on the West Coast. Fewer than 40 students were on hand when the doors first opened. Today, the enrollment exceeds 36,000 students, making Washington one of the 10 largest universities in the nation.
In more than a century of service to higher education, the University of Washington has developed from a territorial school to one of the outstanding teaching and research institutions of the nation. Founded in 1861 by Seattle pioneers with a vision of a future American gateway to the Pacific, the university reflects a close relationship with the activities and interests of the Pacific Northwest. In addition to strong programs in the sciences and liberal arts, it offers special areas of excellence in health sciences, law, marine resources, international studies, and forestry. One of the nation's first Sea Grant colleges, Washington's faculty ranks among the highest in federal grant and contract support. An unusual combination of creative scholars and a distinctive natural setting give the University of Washington an unique identity as a center for the discovery and the dissemination of knowledge. That's why Washingtonians say you're getting something out of it, whether you go there or not.
At halftime, with Washington leading Oregon 34-30, I'm Len Shackelford. Let's now go over to Ross Porter, who's got Washington's athletic director, Mike Lude. Ross?
Thank you, Len, very much. Well, Mike, the Washington Huskies got off to a slow start, but they picked it up there toward the latter stages of the first half.
Well, Ross, I think so. There's some sloppy ball handling and some poor shot selection on our part, although Oregon's defense had something to do with that, too. You know, there are always two teams playing on that court, and I want to be doggone sure that I'm never one that thinks that we always do the bad things. Somebody causes a bad thing. So we did start poorly, but there's some good basketball that occurred. One thing that impresses me is that there's a lot of cutting and going and scrambling, and the sneakers are squeaking.
Yes, they are. You've got a chance today to win your 16th game. Marv told us before the day he was over, he thought that perhaps you'd have 18 or 19 victories at the end of the year. So you do have a shot at an NIT bid, don't you?
Oh, well, I think so. I was in the office early this morning and working on my paperwork, and I was not at all surprised to find some communication from the NIT discussing with me about whether or not we were interested and what would happen, and to be alert at the end of the season. Yeah, we have a chance for it, and I think with all of with the great number of teams that are being in postseason, or going to be in postseason play, that the Huskies could be in postseason play. But we got to play well this afternoon to get there.
Wednesday is a big day for the college football coaches around the conference, and I know it is for your Don James.
Yes, it is. Wednesday is National Letter of Intent Day for football, and that's all over the country. Having been an old football coach, I certainly feel very strongly and very intently about the letter of intent, and I know this, that we're working a good group of potential athletes, and we're looking forward to the Letter of Intent Day with a lot of enthusiasm. We have a number that have committed to us already in the state of Washington, and some in the state of California and throughout the country, and so we're looking forward to a big day.
Mike, the Pac-10 is one of the few conferences that I know of that does not have a conference letter of intent. Why?
Well, that's a good question. Why? I don't know. It has not been discussed since I've been an athletic director in the conference, and that means for 4 years. The previous conference I was in, the Mid-American Conference, had a conference letter of intent, and the conference before that, where I was football coach at the Western Athletic Conference, had a conference letter of intent. I like it. I think it's a good idea.
Mike, always good to see you. Thanks very much for your hospitality.
Thanks, Ross. We always like to have you here. You do a great job, and thank you for being with us.
Mike Lou, the athletic director at the University of Washington. Now let's go back over to Lynn.
Okay, thank you, Ross. There you see it. Washington leading Oregon 34-30 at halftime, and we'll be back with some other scores from around the country right after this.
There are 2,000 twisting, turning miles on this river, and you know them all. But the one you know best ends with Miller time.
When it's time to relax.
Time for the best tasting beer you can find.
What still stands clear?
America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
How you doing there?
Did you get one? Let me get the same. Miller beer.
Another great intersectional match for you on NBC tomorrow. Dick Enberg with Al McGuire and Billy Packer. We're going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. You'll see the UNLV running Rebels. Sidney Green, their sensational freshman out of the New York area. They'll be matched against the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Joe Hall has his own outstanding first-year man in the giant 7-footer Sam Bowie. That's Kentucky's Wildcats, the Rebels of the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. Tomorrow here on NBC, tip-off at 1 o'clock.
Play by Seeley.
Woods, 4 inches smaller than Burns, so Ron might try to work on him inside. Instead, he passes to Seeley. Belton misses, and it comes over to Bob Braun. Griffin, flat and in.
So after shooting only 43% in the first half from the floor, Washington's opened up here with some fine shooting thus far in the second half.
It's the second time today the Huskies have led by as many as 8. Timeout, 17:33 to go. First half, and Washington up 40-32 over. Half of the teams in the conference this year are hitting more than half of their shots from the field, and Washington one of them.
Well, they've started out here in the second half, all 3 for 3.
Washington playing man-to-man. Oregon playing man-to-man all day. And a holding foul, and the Huskies in close. It's on James Woods, his first team foul in Washington. 30-year-old Jim Haney.
Yeah, in case you missed it at the start of the game, we said Marv Harshman has 3 sons that are all as old or older than Jim Haney.
And one of them is an assistant coach at Michigan State. Seeley misses. Woods rebounds. Frank collides with Seeley, but no foul.
I'm glad there was no call.
Yeah,
though.
I was about to say the same thing. Just
no harm done by
no
the
whistle.
Right. Didn't have any effect on the game.
Ron Burns overplaying James Woods, and Burns picks up his second foul, the second on the Ducks here in the second half. 2 other finals are in, Lynn, in a meeting of 2 of the top 20 teams in the country. Clemson defeated North Carolina State this afternoon 78-70, and Wake Forest nipped Georgia Tech 49-48.
Maybe Clemson should start getting more recognition down there in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They got a good one.
Foul called on Felton Seeley. Be his third.
So here we go again. Oregon getting themselves perhaps in some foul trouble early here in the first half. What happened was that Seeley was kind of out of position. Then he tried to make up for it. When he saw that pass coming, he tried to stop it then, but it was too late. You got to play your hardest defense before your man gets the ball. That's a good rule of thumb.
What is the rule of thumb? I've always wondered that. Lorenzo Romar. Tough try. Jerome Williams. Goaltending will be called on James Woods. So Jerome Williams has his 8th point now, and it's 40-34 Washington. .5 minutes to play in Seattle. Ross Porter and Lynn Shackelford with you. Next Saturday, Washington State and USC from Los Angeles.
Oregon's really having difficulty, the Oregon players defensively, trying to figure out how they should play these Washington players and keep from committing fouls.
Jerome Williams just picked up his second. Jim Haney not too happy because the Ducks have 4 fouls in less than 4 minutes in the second half. Dan Walker. Williams, good inside position for the rebound. John Murray to Richard Wright. Burns calling for the ball. Goes to Williams instead for a 17-footer. Woods with the rebound. Murray goes down at midcourt. Frank just streaks by him, takes it all away, but they're a traveling call.
Oh, tough play. Frank really showed some speed there. Big 6'4" guard. The way he's built, you wouldn't think he would have a lot of it.
Quite an athlete, though, Lynn. He was quite a football player. In fact, he went out for the Husky varsity as a quarterback over a year ago in spring training, spring drills. Finally decided, no, I'll just concentrate on basketball.
You can see the guy's got some athletic skill there. He really turned on the speed that time on a drive to his left. Traveling was the call, though.
Williams in close, and he is fouled. Williams is a pretty good offensive player.
Yeah, he's got quick moves. He's got long arms. He can play inside well. He can shoot from the outside. Once he gets the ball in deep, you're almost going to have to foul him because with that quickness, he'll find a way to get a shot around someone.
Woods has both of Washington's fouls in the second half, and now Williams to the line. He was 0 for 2 there in the first half. Jerome now with 9 points.
Some of those familiar in the Southern California area will probably be surprised. He's from Muir High School in Pasadena. Most of the best basketball players have come out of Pasadena High School, the other.
Where George Terzian coached them.
Right.
5-point lead. Walker misses, but Woods gets it back and makes it a 7-point advantage.
That was just a tough break because the shot came off at an unusual angle, and Woods just happened to be there. It wasn't because he had that great a position.
Oregon's leading scorer and rebounder, Mike Clark, who did not start today, is going to go back in when it's dead for Oregon. Richard Wright, the best outside shooter the Ducks have, misses. Underneath, a chance for a 3-point play as Ray Whiting got aggressive.
Yeah, there's a brilliant play by a freshman. Marv Harshman's not happy with something, either the referee or the play, but watch Whiting. What timing. You just can't really teach this to a basketball player. A guy just comes to your school with that kind of skill. Hang in the air.
Stan Walker with his first foul, and now Ray Whiting with a chance to complete the 3-point play and pull Oregon back to within 4. So Whiting held at 2 points in the first half, already has 5 after intermission, and it's 42-38 Washington. Omar, Walker, Frank, Griffin. Woods inside. Walker takes it. 18-footers there.
Well, somebody got lost in the shuffle there defensively because they don't want to give Walker that kind of shot from the outside. So there must have been a screen away from the ball Walker rubbed his man off of.
Walker has 8, 6 of those in the second half. 44-38, Wright fading away and hitting. Wright had to wait a year to play at Oregon after transferring from Old Dominion. And he cuts the Husky lead to 4.
Could have been a traveling call. The Oregon bench wanted it. I thought he did travel, yeah. Bob Frank.
Looked like it.
This is not necessarily the game that Washington would like to play as they get the ball in deep to Woods. They want a little more running.
Good offensive rebound by Griffin and he scores. Griffin's got 12 points and he didn't start today. 46-40 Washington. Three-second violations all into that.
So even though the style of the game is really not exactly what Marv Harshman would like, he'd like a little bit more running. Jim Haney and his Oregon Ducks are still scrambling and a little bit frustrated, trying to come from behind. They're down by 6 and trying to stop Washington this time.
13:42 to go in our ball game in Seattle. Murray and Griffin traded elbows. Frank misses inside, and Jerome Williams pulls it down. Whiting stumbles. Back out to Jerome Williams. Online. Williams in double figures with 11, and it's 46-42. No one's led by more than 8. Washington's enjoyed that position a couple of times in the game. Oregon led early 8-2. Romar saves it back on the court to Griffin. And the hustle of Romar paid off.
Yeah, Griffin's one of those players that when he gets things going in his way, he can hit the offensive boards hard, and he can shoot from the outside. And he's having a good afternoon. Marv Harshman's going to leave him in there for sure.
Griffin has 14 points to lead the Huskies. 48-42, Washington on top. Whiting leaves it for White. Wright is about a little bit out of his range with that one, 26, 27 feet out. Bob Frank. Williams with another rebound.
Seems like we've had a lot of exchanges here without too many whistles being blown. Some of the players will probably get tired here in a minute. Not used to that so far this afternoon.
And the Ducks turn it over. John Gregg going back in for Oregon, and Don Vaughn back into the Washington lineup. But first, we've got a timeout. 12:05 to go. Washington leads Oregon by 6.
Join me for a special occasion. The introduction of the ultimate LTD. The elegant new LTD Crown Victoria. Elegant surround. Notice the quiet. Ride as quietly
When you can, I'll take number 4.
Finally, the automatic overdrive option. No competitor's full-size V8 surpasses LTD Crown Victoria's gas mileage rating. You'll be proud to say, mine's the Crown Victoria.
Ford, the official cars of the 1980 Winter Olympics.
I just discovered oil. Louise, we just discovered oil.
People are discovering Texaco's Haviland Supreme, the motor oil with a special friction fighter that's been proven in fuel economy tests. Extensive tests showed that 2 of the leading 10W40 motor oils advertising extra gasoline mileage couldn't beat Haviland Supreme. And you still get Haviland's trooper-tested engine protection, too. Discover Haviland Supreme, protection plus unbeaten mileage.
On NBC's Game of the Week, All-American guard Kyle Macy leads the hard-charging Kentucky Wildcats against the running Rebels of Nevada, Las Vegas tomorrow.
Tomorrow on NBC Sports World, the top women pros challenge Oahu's pounding surf in Women's World Cup surfing, and then see full contact karate featuring the WKA Championship bout. 12 noon Pacific time, 1 o'clock Mountain on NBC. It's been a pretty good year for the road team in the conference. They've won almost half of them.
Yeah, we've talked about how Oregon's done pretty well. They've won 3 out of 7 themselves, and some of the other teams have fared well on the road also.
Don Vaughn back into the lineup, gives it to Lorenzo Romar over to Stan Walker. 48-42 Washington. We're under the 12-minute mark in the second half. Griffin on the drive, rolls it across the rim. Murray took a hard fall. John takes a lot of those in the course of the game. Stolen by Romar. Williams had it back. Who's got it? Williams again. Oh, it's getting rough inside. Clark missed. And the ball belongs to Oregon.
Yeah, they're really going at it under there. Woo! You know, there's some of the Oregon fans you're seeing right there. They wanted a whistle blown. They thought their players were fouled. I'm sure the Washington fans would tell you just the opposite.
James Woods has got it for the Huskies.
And Washington looks like they're in control, even though it's just a 6-point lead. They seem to have things going pretty much the way they want them. If they could just get a few more fast break baskets, I think then Marv Harshman would really be happy. But Oregon will probably try to hang tough.
Washington trying to win for the 10th time in the last 15 starts and goes 16-7.
They're trying to get the ball into Woods, and they can't. Clark doing a pretty good job of fronting it.
Griffin misses. Williams rebounds. Clark, Gregg gave him a moving screen.
Yeah, it was a very effective play by Gregg. Clark gets the basket. Gregg will not get an assist, but there's an example of a guy getting an assist for that screen.
Mike Clark went almost 30 minutes before he got his first 2 points, and he's the Ducks' leading scorer. 48-44 Washington. Woods double teamed by Gregg and by Clark, and one of them fouled him. They're calling on Clark. It's Mike's 3rd foul. Team foul 5 on Oregon. And Goodmanson's going to go back in. It must be tough for Woods at 6'8" to be moved back and forth between forward and center. He's a natural forward,
Yeah,
don't you think?
Very definitely. Yeah, I really think he probably does not like the idea of playing center, but of course he just wants to play, I'm sure. Now this will change the complexion of the game with big Peter Gudmundsson in there.
They double team, and the ball is stolen by Clark. He did a good job of fronting Gudmundsson. Oregon can come within 2 with a basket. 10:20 to go. Murray forced his pass, and the Ducks are lucky they kept the ball.
I'll say, I'm surprised that Murray is senior.
Haney wasn't too happy, was he?
No, Haney's not happy with that. Murray's usually a very heady player. I'm surprised he threw that pass in there.
48-44 Washington. They led at half 34-30. Murray didn't find the ball, and Vaughn does. Don going the other way over Gregg, and blew the layup. Gregg intimidated him.
He did. I thought Gregg was going to go in there and try to make the block, and at the last second he held off.
So it's still a 4-point difference. Exactly 10 minutes to play. Williams in close. No basket. There's a foul called on Washington. Andre Griffin has his 3rd foul, and the Huskies' 4th of the half.
That's his 3rd personal. It's the 4th team foul on Washington.
Shooting time for, no, they're going to have a common foul. No shooting. Now Felton Seeley's going to report back in for Oregon. And Richard Wright will come out. The last time we were tied was 28-28 late in the half. Now it's 48-44 Washington.
Oregon's sure having a lot of trouble with their passing, especially in close. Maybe Washington's playing some good defense, but maybe Oregon's just trying to force the ball in a little bit too much, too often. Maybe they ought to try to hit a few outside shots, try to open it up a little.
Washington commits a 3-second violation. So this has not been an artistic game.
No, with all the turnovers, it sure hasn't.
36 turnovers.
Wow. And we still got 9.5 minutes to go.
Clark traveled. Washington is 3-3 at home this year in Pac-10 play. Oregon 3-4 on the road, as we told you, but the Ducks have won only one time at Mac Court in 7 tries, unlike an Oregon team.
Yeah, that is unusual. They say they haven't shot well at home.
Well, they haven't shot well anywhere. They're the worst shooting team in the conference, about 44%. But they're in this ball game down only 48-44.
Yeah, you would think that the team that's going to win this game is going to have one really good spurt where they eliminate turnovers, where they make a couple good shots, and maybe hit about 6 to 8 points in a row, and that might be the difference.
Seeley forced it. Comes to Williams on a ricochet.
Good defense by Washington. Oregon executed a play fairly well, and Washington had everything stopped.
Here's Murray, and it's a 2-point ball game.
Hard shot by little Murray because he had to shoot really over the outstretched hand of Gudmundsson. I don't think he had a really good vision of the basket.
48-46 with 8:20 to go at Seattle. Romar to Walker to Gudmundsson. Oh, big rebound and a big 2-pointer for Stan Walker. It's the 7th straight time Walker's been in double figures in the game. 17 of his last 19, and he's had 8 of those 10 here in the second half. 50-46. Washington keeps the lead. Clark double pumps and scores over Gudmundsson.
I think that's what Oregon's going to have to start doing, is going into Clark or whoever the center is that Gudmundsson is guarding, because his defensive play is certainly not as good as he is offensively.
50-48. Romar to Walker.
Whoa.
Way outside, barely grazed the rim with it, but the Huskies keep it. Bob Frank's going back in for Washington, but first we have a timeout. 7:35 to play. It is Washington 50, Oregon 48.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Hey, where you been? Well, it wasn't easy getting tickets for this game.
Just did that.
And I know exactly what I want. I want the biggest steak you got and a bottle of Lowen Brown.
thinking, Nolan Brown? Nolan, you're a genius. When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowen Brown.
Here's to the chef.
Here's to the bartender.
People would rather buy their life insurance from somebody they know and trust. That's why so many families are coming to State Farm agents for their life insurance. Usually they have other kinds of insurance with us. We see them on a regular basis, and we know their needs pretty well. And that makes it a lot easier to put together a life insurance program that's really tailored to their needs. That's life insurance, the State Farm one.
On Sports World, black belts battle it out in bone-jarring full-contact karate. Plus, top pros challenge Oahu's pounding serve in the Women's World Cup Sunday.
Washington State's Cougars, who figure to be in either the NCAA or the NIT, will be on our telecast next Saturday against the USC Trojans from Los Angeles. Will be on the air at 3:30 Pacific, 4:30 Mountain. And how about that Brian Ryson of Washington State, Lynn? Set a Pac-10 record Thursday night when he sank 23 free throws against this Oregon team in 25 attempts. Boy, that's going to the line.
Yeah, he knows how to get to the line, that little guy.
Washington leading right here over Oregon by 2, and again, the Huskies will inbound it. 7:33 to go in the ball game, and Marv Harshman a little bit anxious. And another turnover. Oregon can get even right here.
And I can see why Marv Harshman would be a little bit anxious. Both teams have played man-to-man the whole way.
Here's Murray. He loves that shot. We're tied at 50.
Oh, that was an excellent play by Oregon. Excellent selection. That's what I was saying. I think they were having trouble with that interior passing. Murray's hit a couple shots from the outside. That's what they needed. Hit a few from the outside. Murray, as senior, is a good one to go to for a clutch basket.
Murray has 10. His seasonal high is 13. Griffin, who's had a good ball game, misses for Washington. And now the Ducks can go in front with 6:53 to go. Seeley tried to get it to Murray. Frank had it. And Washington will get it back.
I think that's one of Oregon's biggest problems, is making that pass in there when it's really not.
It's not there, is it?
No. Should not be made.
50-50, 6.5 to go. Don Vaughn gives the lead back to Washington. 5 for Vaughn. Don Vaughn committed the foul.
And then he turns and heads straight for the bench.
He knew he was coming out, and Lorenzo Romar now comes in and he's played.
It's only the first foul on him. I think he knew he was coming out, so he thought, what the heck, I'm going to try to make a steal. When I knew someone was reported for me and my team got the ball, I'd put it up from anywhere. I didn't care.
52-50 Washington.
It's not the positive way to play, but when you are a player, you're always looking over there to see if there is some substitution reporting, and if it is, you want to know if it's for you or not, because you really want to stay out there in the game. You don't want someone to come in for you, ever.
John Gregg gets it back inside to Clark, and it's tied again. Clark with 6 points all in the second half, 52 all, and we're at the 6-minute mark.
I think Peter Gudmundsson's going to have to show some initiative here offensively if he's going to stay in the game, because he's certainly not helping him defensively.
Clark is fronting him. Clark giving away about 5 inches. Gudmundsson 7'2", Clark 6'9", and they're bumping inside. Frank into Gudmundsson. Clark got a hand on him. Gudmundsson rolled it in. 10 for Gudmundsson today. 13's been his high this year against Seattle. Washington among the top 15 teams in the country in defense against opponents. Put the ball up.
That's pretty impressive statistic there. And Oregon, I don't think, has shot all that well today.
Jerome Williams, tough shot. Had it down, wouldn't go. Follow won't go. And it comes out to Washington. "5 minutes to play. Washington leading 54-52. Goodmanson.
I think his shot might have been partially blocked.
Yes, it was, and a rebound for Jerome Williams. Murray tried to force a pass through. Somebody kicked it, but who touched it last?
I think it was the foot. So Oregon will keep it.
Number 45, James Woods.
James Woods back in for Washington, and Peter Goodmanson will sit down. Washington has won 15 times, trying to get number 16 today, and they've got games left at USC and UCLA next week, and then home dates with Arizona and Arizona State. And as you heard Mike Lou, the athletic director of the Huskies, say at halftime, the NIT is in contact with the Washington administration. Clark inside, player control foul on Mike, his fourth foul. 16 fouls on the Ducks.
Well, they got the ball in there in excellent position to Clark. It looked like he made himself a nice little move. I'm not really sure where I
don't
saw
know what he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure I saw the offensive foul committed.
.4:15 to go. Jim Haney yelling, just give us an even break. That's all I ask, as he walks down yelling at Frank Bukowitz. Walker from outside. This is Craig. Went up for the rebound, but there's a foul called on Washington. Might be on Griffin. Yes, Andre Griffin picks up his